Well, whoever you are, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, and whoever you're lucky enough to be doing it to, I'm Bushka on Blitz, and I'm here to break down the world as you know it in terms of camouflage, and with particular reference to the E25. I'm going to talk about why the E25 is such a little unicorn, as in it's a mythical creature, and it has a couple of things that really you don't see anywhere else. And I'm also going to talk about some of the stuff that's coming up, and basically give you a breakdown on some of the things that wargaming say don't exist but truly do. So this should be interesting for a couple of you, if only to confirm what you already knew about the game, but here we go. One other thing, update 3.8 is going to be massive. There's some changes to equipment coming up, and I will be breaking down all those changes on channel. So make sure you stick around, subscribe, like the videos, all that kind of stuff. We've got the ammo whack competition coming up today as well. In a couple of hours, I'm going to be running out with Hubert Jass doing the North American ammo whack. Keep your eyes peeled for those streams. There's going to be another one for Asia. Martin Dog is doing the EU ones. It's all happening. And as always, this is a patron-sponsored post. If you want to sponsor the channel, it's the only way I literally make a living now is YouTube. And it's always a very, very thin-edged line of demarcation between making a living and getting yelled at by the missus. Now, the reason I want to talk about the E25 in particular, and I'm going to have to digress a touch here. The last bunch of camo numbers I found for coefficients, basically giving the camo rating of tanks in the game, was from quite a long time ago. Back in 2015, 29th of July 2015, Unkindest, who you might know as a community contributor and a very, very good player on the EU server, he listed up a whole bunch of stuff. Basically, the Tier 7 E25 that we're looking at is phenomenal because it has an incredible camo rating. When it's absolutely stock still, it has a 44.1% camo rating. These are old stats. Now, these have all probably been changed a touch up and down, but I'd suggest that their position relative to all the other tanks in the game is quite similar. Now, one of the things Wargaming won't do is release the camouflage stats, and I've asked various producers and things if they're going to have more transparency in that. And they don't want to really release camo stats because player bases have a tendency to get fall in love with numbers, don't we? And if you know one tank has the best camo, then everyone just ignores all the other lines when there's a lot more to it than that. But basically, on the move camo is the real key here. Now, because of its massive 44.1% camouflage when stock still, its on the move camo rating is absolutely tremendous. It has a 26.4% on the move camo rating as of patch 2.1, which is a long time ago, but again, to give that some kind of concept, the Object 140, when completely stationary, has the best camo rating at tier 10, or it did back then, and that camo rating was 29%. So on the move, this tank has nearly as good a camo rating as an Object 140, and it certainly seems to have as good a camo rating as these two light tanks here, the Type 62 and the LTTB, while moving. And that's particularly of note because the light tanks have exactly the same on the move camo as they have stock still camo. And when you whack a camo net on a tank that's got a really, really good camo rating, you take another 15% off it. So you end up with a tank that when completely stationary isn't seen till you're 90 meters away. That is pretty bloody impressive. Now, the way camo works is really simple. There's two variables that have to be taken into account: the view range of the other tank and the camo rating of your tank. Now, you can buff or negate those things depending on rations and vents, which increase crew skills. They will increase your camo rating, camo net, which will increase your camo rating, and the obvious things like optics and binoculars. Also, perks, you can get up to 18% camo rating if you in fact do drive a tank with the maxed out TD skill perk, which gives 3% per tier. Now watch this. This is something that Wargaming has said doesn't exist, which is when you push over a bush or a tree that you get camouflage from it. Remember I was spotted at 90 meters? Spotted now. That's at 30 meters. We ran this a few times. It tends to be about 40 meters to 50 meters. So it seems like the bush takes off maybe 50%. Something else you need to know about camouflage: if you are behind a bush like this that is pushed over and you are completely stationary with your camo net and everything going and you've got 44% camo rate, that means that even with spotting and everything else, you're basically giving yourself as many different camo modifiers as you can possibly give yourself. and your vents, and your double rations, which I am, of course, running in this tank. So that's really important. But once you fire, all bets are off. And this is very, very true in PC, and it seems to be very, very true in Blitz as well. That when you fire, your camo rating drops to maybe 4%, 3%, 2%, 5%. It's a tiny number. And that's a universal truth, except, of course, if you are firing at a tank and you're far enough back behind soft cover like a bush and all you can see is the silhouette of the tank. If you can only just see the silhouette of the tank and you fire, you won't get spotted in general unless they are very, very, very close to your tank. And that's very important because you can see even as they get closer and closer, we're able to fire without being spotted. And that's massive. If you can get a tank spotting other tanks for you and you have brush in front of you and you back up till they're just silhouettes, well then, boys and girls, you can go hog wild without fear of getting spotted by those tanks that are in front of you because your camouflage is absolutely off the charts. So that's all well and good in a stone cold clinical environment. But what about when you're raging around the map and you're trying to use it? Now, I've always struggled with the E25. I have completely understood that it is a good tank because I've seen so many people do good things in it. And I think that there's an issue with the way I play. I play light tanks with this kind of camo very aggressively at times. And I struggle to do that in the E25 because I keep mistaking the situations and pushing on tanks when they're not solo. And in an E25, if they're not solo, it means, well, you don't have a turret. You really, really can't do that with multiple tanks at one time. So what I decided to do was try and play it. This is the very next game after doing that camo testing and realizing just how crazy the camo was. And I started to play it with just absolute sneakiness. And I want to show you the results. Now, remember, we talked about if they are in front of you and you cannot see anything but the silhouette, then you quite simply won't be spotted. And you can see right there exactly what I'm talking about. But even though I know I can't be spotted by that guy, I'm still pulling back when I fire. Because what happens is you never know if there's someone moved up on the right or the left who has really good camouflage like you, and you are completely unable to see them. And as such, you end up in a terrible position where you think you're unspotted and you're actually just sitting still because the light, when you get spotted, won't go off for 2 seconds. Now, I'm pretty certain that I am free and clear on my right here, so I move up. Now, the buff to the E25's pen has been just off the charts good for the tank. It's been absolutely superb. You can see that Nash horn over there. I switched to HE, but yeah, poor choice. Should have stuck with APCR, and I pull back to get back behind the tree. Now, they're at 332 meters. There is no way those guys are spotting me up because they moved around the place, which means they were using binoculars at best to get that range. And if you're moving, you can't be having your binoculars working at all. Again, just keeping them as much as a silhouette as possible, right at the back of the view range, always keeping brush between me and them. And I've also got a bush on my right hand side between me and that heavy that you can see, which means that there is no way that if he rolls out to the right, he's actually going to see me. That would be a silhouette spot only. And as you know, silhouettes at 100, 120 meters aren't going to do anything to you. Now, I can see the Nash horn over there doing the business, going to pump him as much as possible. And then I'm going to roll forward and actually look on my left. Tiger P is going to spot me. Can't be mucking around with him too much. I use the rocks. And this is a bit of a revelation for me because although I do use camo abundantly, I didn't realize just how crazy good the E25's camo was. I knew it was good. I just didn't know how good. Its on the move camo is the same as light tanks, which is pretty crazy. Now we're at 200 odd meters from those guys, 208, 210 meters, and I fired, and yet I wasn't spotted. Now there's various reasons for that. You can see there we are not spotted. One of the things that you're going to find at lower tiers, which can quite often contribute to this, and is very, very obvious when you think about it, is crew skills. A lot of people like this player here in the VK3001P, they've got very low crew skills because they're grinding the tank from stock. And if you see a stock tank and it's moving very slowly, you can also take for granted nearly every time that its crew skills are low. And if its crew skills are low, then it doesn't have the best possible view range it can have. And that can mean that for someone driving a tank that relies on stealth, you can absolutely make a killing, because if it's got low crew skills, then it won't see you at normal ranges. Now, most people would see you firing at 220, 230 meters. 200 meters is a lay down misère. You're going to get seen firing pretty much all the time. But what if they've only got 50% crew skills? Well, then, no, you're not going to get spotted. And you saw that there with that T-34. I was completely capable of taking shots at him without receiving any kind of spotting damage, because he's just had low crew skills. That's all there was to it. Now, here we go. The Tiger P, pump him. It's an MT25 and a Nashorn left. I haven't seen the MT25 for love nor money. I haven't noticed him. I see he's got a kill, so I'm assuming he's active in the game. And our T29, I have absolutely no idea what he is up to. And again, I'm just hoping for that Nashorn to push forward. And why am I pulling back in a straight line? It's because I'm pulling back behind the camouflage. So if someone's looking down that alleyway and they're actually set and they've got binoculars on or whatever, when I go to turn away, I'm going to be at the absolute maximum range I can be at, and I won't be spotted. And it's one of the other reasons why I drive along the boundary lines of the map when I'm in important situations quite often, because it's the furthest you can be away from the enemy, and that gives you the least chance of being spotted because of the way the mechanics in the game work. If their view range isn't really good, you're not going to get spotted. These are little things that once you start using them in everyday gameplay, I mean, you've seen how many bushes I've gone from bush to bush to bush. I'm just looking for the target, but I'm also looking for the target without giving him me, without being spotted. He's got to be up there, then that's exactly where he is. Now, again, he's at 221, and if he doesn't have full crew skills, or some kind of optics, there is every chance that he won't actually see me, and he doesn't. So we managed to put all our shots into him without being spotted, because the camo rating on this tank is absolutely off the charts good. Anything over 200 meters, it seems, you can very comfortably take shots and not get spotted unless they're running like double rations and optics and they have all the perks. I mean, that's pretty important. That's money to live by. And of course, this new style of play for me with the E25 was obviously successful. I mean, you've seen I've put so much damage in and I've taken 460 damage back, which has been 2 shots. I've been shot twice. That's phenomenally good for a tank like this. It really is. And we make a crucial error here. The MT25 is actually camping at the back down there. Now, he's a light tank, so he has good camo just all on its own. And he's camping at the back, and there he is. He pops. I don't know what he was doing there. He's gone AFK by the look of it. And it doesn't matter because we had a T29 that really was not moving terribly quick himself. So we run out of time to kill him, but there you go. And you can see the results straight away. 3,200 damage, 41,000 credits. Massive, massive damage from the E25, number one. And that's camouflage, guys. Just remember to down bushes, down trees, 100% work. Don't believe the haters. They keep your camo rocking. Until next time, boys and girls, look after yourselves. Stay safe on the battlefield. I'm Bushka on Blitz. Bye for now.